Live from WRAL News Headquarters in Raleigh, your number one source for local news. WRAL News, coverage you can count on.
The rain is coming down out there right now. This afternoon, we have a level 1 risk for severe storms in our southern counties. Tomorrow, it's everywhere. I'll show you the timeline on Futurecast. Plus, a man is in custody after deputies say he walked into a home and shot 2 people. What the family of the woman who was shot shares with WRAL.
And keeping your children's teachers paid. How Durham school board leaders are fighting for funding for its school employees. Good afternoon to you. Let's bring you inside our WRL studio here on this Tuesday. I'm Jeff Hogan.
And I'm Renee Chu. Thanks for joining us. Glad we're not outside, because
right.
Look at how it's coming down there
Nasty.
at Dorothea Dix Park in Raleigh. Storms are likely across the area this afternoon, and this pattern continues through tomorrow.
Elizabeth Gardner in the WRL Severe Weather Center right now with a look at who is most likely to see these severe storms, Elizabeth.
You know, you look out the window and it is pouring down rain in most places, not everywhere. But, you know, it's pretty impactful out there. But we don't have any severe storms. As a matter of fact, we don't even have any lightning showing up. As we get through the afternoon, it's possible that we could see a few thunderstorms, especially in our southern counties. But a lot of this is just some steady rain coming through and covering so much of the viewing area right now. We'll zoom in around the triangle, Chapel Hill, Durham, Fuquay, Varina, Anger, Smithfield, Wilson, Red Oak, Rocky Mount. Almost everybody seeing some showers rolling through. A little bit of a break in some of our southern counties right now, but it is far from over. Our southern counties are the ones that have that level 1 risk. So parts of Sampson County, Cumberland County, and Moore County, and all of Hoke County in that level 1 risk. Damaging winds would be our biggest threat. We could see some heavy rain. We're seeing some steady to heavy rain right now, even possibly some hail. And then that level 1 risk for tomorrow covers the entire viewing area with pretty much the same threats. We take a look at Futurecast and you can see that coverage of the rain right here at noon. Notice how it continues to stick around all the way through around 4 or 5 o'clock. Once we get into the evening, it lifts northward and we get a little bit of a break in the precipitation around dinner time, but we will see more of it tomorrow as early as the morning commute. You can see that chance beginning to taper off later on this evening. But again, plenty more rain on the way. We'll take a look at tomorrow's timeline coming up.
A trooper was hurt while trying to stop a driver leading a high-speed chase. State Highway Patrol confirms that trooper was trying to put out stop sticks and flatten the tires when that trooper was hurt. The driver is still on the run. Take a look at another driver's dash cam video showing this chase. You see a white car speeding through an intersection, a trooper following close behind. More law enforcement vehicles later speed past as the chase continues. This happened last night in Spring Lake in Cumberland County. Troopers say the driver was going upwards of 150 miles per hour before crashing into 3 other cars. 2 people were taken to the hospital. We're working to find out their conditions. Troopers say that white Dodge Challenger was stolen. The driver was able to get away from the scene.
New at noon, a man is in custody after deputies say he walked into a home and shot 2 people. It happened around 3 this morning near Hope Mills. Terrence Carr is charged with attempted murder, among other charges. WRL's Gilbert Bays joins us live from Cumberland County. Gilbert, you spoke with the family of the woman who was shot.
Yeah, Renee, that's right. I spoke with the mother, I talked with 2 sisters, and also talked with her aunt. All of them are shocked, but they are not surprised. They say they have been spending some time trying to protect 22-year-old Naya Stancil from her ex-boyfriend. They say this is just a terrible case of domestic violence. We have a picture of the man that you just talked about. He is 30-year-old Terrence Carr. This shooting happened around 3:15 this morning inside the apartment here on Dry Point Lane. This is where Stancil lived. Now, her mother told me she was afraid to stay here because last night, though, a coworker came over with her for a little protection. You could see some bullet holes that came from the inside, broke through the outside wall of the building. Wanda Williams didn't want to be on camera, but she told me that Carr used his key to get into her daughter's apartment, and that's when the shooting started. She says when Carr came inside, her friend and Carr exchanged gunfire.
Next thing I got, about 3-something is when I got a text saying I've been shot. After the end, I said what? She said he shot me and help. So I started calling her and I couldn't get through.
Now, when deputies arrived, they found the 3 people shot inside the apartment, all of them taken to the hospital. Carr is in critical condition. We're told the other 2 victims are going to be okay. Now, Williams says that her daughter had a restraining order against Carr, but he has violated that on several occasions in the past. Right now, Carr faces several charges, as you mentioned, Renee, attempted first-degree murder, but he will not formally be charged until he's released from the hospital.
Gilbert Bays reporting live in Cumberland County. Gilbert, thank you.
And happening right now in the WRAL Live Center, 8 people are dead. At least 40 others are hurt after a major bus crash happened in Florida earlier this morning. This is video from the scene. It happened early this morning, 6:30 a.m. in northwest Florida. It's about 40 miles west of Ocala. Florida Highway Patrol says that bus there that you're seeing was carrying 53 migrant workers to a watermelon farm. The 2 vehicles, that bus and another truck, were heading toward each other down the road when they collided. The bus ran onto the shoulder. It struck a fence and then 2 trees and overturned. A public school system there says one of their buses was not involved in this crash, but that school bus actually helped take people to the hospital. Again, right now they are saying 8 people are dead and more than 40 are hurt. This is actually a live picture right now. This is our sister station there in Florida. They just wrapped up a press conference, but again, 8 people dead because of this horrific crash.
There's a terrible scene there, Michelle. Thank you. The polls are open for the runoff elections in several races across our state. Today's primary runoff features the statewide Republican races for state auditor and lieutenant governor. That's because both positions had lots of candidates in the March GOP primary, and no one got above the 30% threshold for the vote. That's the requirement to win it outright. In the 13th congressional district, which wraps around the Triangle area, voters will be deciding between Smithfield attorney Kelly Daughtry and former federal prosecutor Brad Knott. Daughtry ended her campaign just days before this runoff. So, well, she is out. She says she is out. Her name will still appear on that ballot.
And Jeff, polls will remain open until 7:30 tonight. You can find your sample ballot and polling location, as well as information about each candidate on WRAL.com. Search vote. We'll have results after the polls close tonight on WRAL, WRAL.com, and the WRAL News app.
Ensuring teachers and employees who work with your kids get paid. That's one of the goals of a meeting in Durham happening right now. WRAL's Monica Casey joins us live this afternoon. And Monica, school board members are making the case to get more money to the district.
Yeah, Jeff, that's right. The Durham Public School Board has agreed to ask for raises for classified staff in next year's budget, but that may be easier said than done. In total, DPS has asked the county for an increase of $27 million in next year's budget. That's for a variety of needs, including those raises. Right now, the proposed county budget includes only a $13 million increase. School board leaders and county commissioners are trying to find a middle ground here today. School board members say their needs are dire.
But I will say to you, like never before, our house is on fire. The immediate needs we have with compensation for our employees, you're talking about people walking out. This house is on fire.
The county points out DPS's budget has grown year over year, and county staff is concerned that growth is outpacing major revenue sources like property and sales taxes. DPS points out they have made cuts and taken steps to keep their ask for next year as low as possible. That includes eliminating all out-of-state travel, freezing local expenditures, and tightening the hiring decisions and payroll for some types of employees. Still a big difference here in what DPS is asking for and what the county is proposing to give them. Jeff?
Yeah, tough decisions still to be made. Monica Casey live for us in Durham this noon. Monica, thank you.
Right now, former President Trump's longtime lawyer and fixer, Michael Cohen, is back on the stand. Yesterday, Cohen testified that the former president directed him to pay Stormy Daniels to cover up a sexual encounter before the 2016 presidential election. NBC's Bree Jackson reports on this much-anticipated witness in the case.
You have any messages for Donald Trump?
Former President Trump's former fixer, Michael Cohen, taking the stand, testifying that he was acting on behalf of Trump when he made hush money payments to Stormy Daniels, saying everything required Mr. Trump's sign-off. Cohen also claiming Trump was furious in 2016 when he learned Daniels was still trying to sell her story of an alleged sexual encounter with the former president, stating that he told Mr. Trump he would pay Daniels as part of a non-disclosure agreement, opting to use money from a home equity line of credit, and that Mr. Trump's response was along the lines of, "Don't worry, you'll get the money back." Trump is accused of falsifying business records to cover up a reimbursement to Cohen.
They have to believe Michael Cohen, the conspirators, Donald Trump, that they are potentially breaking the law, that they falsified these documents with the intent to break another law. In order to do so, that statement, this has to appear as legitimate.
The former president's political allies came to his defense.
I'm here for the simple reason to show support for a friend. I think this trial is absolutely ridiculous.
That's the most depressing thing I've ever been in. Mental anguish is trying to be pushed on the Republican candidate for the President of the United States this year. That's all this is.
Trump denies the allegations.
There's no crime here. This is 4 weeks of keeping me from not campaigning.
The former president's legal team has attacked Cohen's credibility and argues he's out for revenge.
And that was Bree Jackson reporting. Court is in session right now. This is a live look right outside the courtroom. The hearing happening right now. I am following the updates in there. Here's what's being said. Cohen said that during the 15 months that he was personal counsel to Trump, his goal was to protect and lie for him. He said it was at Trump's direction to get a temporary restraining order against Stormy Daniels. He also said he helped craft a false statement from Daniels. House Speaker Mike Johnson also spoke outside the courtroom in support of Trump, as well as Vivek Ramaswamy. As you heard Trump say, he says this is an election interference. This is keeping him from the campaign trail.
The Canes are keeping their Stanley Cup hopes alive. They exploded with 4 goals in the third period of Game 5 last night. Final score 4-1. Winning over the New York Rangers. Just like that, the Canes are back in the series after losing the first 3 games and winning the last 2. They'll be back at PNC Arena for Game 6 Thursday night with a chance to tie the series. After the game Thursday, be sure to tune in to our exclusive post-game show here on WRAL. It will get started at 11:25.
Tonight at 6, WRAL Investigates gets an inside look at the juvenile justice system in our state. Juvenile crime is up more than 20% the past 2 years, and youth detention centers are overcrowded. The state's focus now is not just making sure young offenders don't turn back to crime, but also helping them become productive members of society.
We're focused on rehabilitation. Having a kid that is 16, 15, 14 years old and just saying we're not going to serve them, we're just going to throw them in the adult system is extremely expensive, and it's a waste of a life.
Tonight on WRAL News at 6, WRAL's Chelsea Donovan brings you a first look inside a new juvenile detention center aimed at education, mental health, and life skills, not just punishment.
Next at noon, a tragic scene in India. A giant billboard collapsed and crushed dozens of people, killing 14. What caused it to collapse and the recovery effort that continues.
Also tonight's the night Caitlin Clark steps on a WNBA floor for the first time in a professional game. The hype she is bringing to an opposing team's arena.
And when a tornado wants to play through, you let it and get out of the way. Where this twister touchdown in the middle of a golf round.
Keep watching WRAL News over the air Channel 34 and Spectrum Channel 1257.
A new UNC Health mobile unit is ready to serve children across the state for their hearing and speech needs. Today, a fundraising breakfast at the Rizzo Center in Chapel Hill helped launch this outreach effort. The van is equipped to help children who have cochlear implants, hearing aids, or those who just need a hearing test. Currently, most rural communities have limited access to those kinds of services.
Yeah, we really hope to be able to reach those rural kids because we don't know how many kids are out there that aren't able to get the care that they need for their hearing and communication.
Tomorrow is the maiden voyage for this new mobile unit as it begins its statewide mission.
14 people were killed, more than 75 are injured after a huge billboard collapsed during a rainstorm in the city of Mumbai in India. Authorities say 89 people have been rescued since it fell last night. A rescue operation is underway after gusty winds caused that billboard to fall on some houses and a gas station. The billboard's about 100 feet tall.
Secretary of State Antony Blinken is in Kyiv today. The point of the visit? To reassure American support for Ukraine in its war against Russia. The visit comes after Congress passed a new aid package for Ukraine for $60 billion. This is Blinken's 4th visit to the country since Russia first invaded in February of 2022. Blinken is expected to talk about the Biden administration's commitment to help Ukraine defend itself and meet with leaders to discuss updates in the war. Tonight, Caitlin Clark will suit up for her first professional game, playing for the Indiana Fever as they face off against the Connecticut Sun. Clark is already raising the bar before she even steps foot onto the court. For the first time in 20 years, the Sun Stadium is sold out for their home opener, all thanks to the opposing team's rookie guard.
This is a dream. This is something I wrote down on a piece of paper when I was in second grade, get a basketball scholarship, play in the WNBA.
Tonight's game tips off at 7:30 at Mohegan Sun Arena.
All right, take a look at this video. Some golfers near Branson, Missouri captured this. You can see a tornado touch down right during their round, coming right down the fairway at them. This is Paynes Valley Golf Course, which was designed by Tiger Woods and opened in 2020. No injuries or damage was reported at that golf course. They are certainly tempting fate hanging out, shooting this video right there. Okay, so maybe it does rain on some golf courses sometimes.
There's proof of that. Yeah, you hear about water hazards, but also weather hazards on the golf course there. No tee time for you today.
Dispels my theory. Not with what's going on out here, I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Elizabeth Gardner in the WRAL Severe Weather Center right now. That radar is getting just about everyone here.
It really is. We have just a little bit of light rain down here in the Sandhills, but it is not over by any means. We're going to continue to see this for the next several hours. Pretty steady from Goldsboro to Raleigh to Durham, all the way up through the Virginia line. We'll zoom in here. Fuquay-Varina seeing fairly heavy showers. Zebulon, too. See the yellow there? So some of that heavier rain. And then back over towards Chapel Hill, just lifting out of Siler City and all the way up through Henderson and over toward Roanoke Rapids. So it's everywhere. We do have the potential for severe thunderstorms. Strong wind is the greatest threat. The potential for large hail, but that's a little less likely. And tornadoes does not look like a tornado threat for us. Here's a look at the big picture. Now, definitely down to the south, there's been a good bit of severe weather, but that has begun to ease up just a little bit. There was a tornado watch that was issued. You can see the loop there with the red shaded area. That has expired. There's still a few severe thunderstorm warnings down around Orlando, but really nothing north of that. We'll watch for some more instability as our cold front gets closer to us. This cold front is going to move through tomorrow, and that's going to bring us a chance of more widespread potential anyway of severe storms. There's been a lot of activity along the Gulf Coast over the last 48 hours. Some tornado damage you can see in the red circles. The gray circles are where we've had wind damage, so it's really been down to the south. But again, some of that's starting to lift northward. We'll take a look at Futurecast, and notice as we get into the afternoon, it does start to taper off from west to east by 5 o'clock. We should see much lighter rain for the evening commute, and then maybe a break around dinner time. It's not over, though. We'll likely see rain by the morning commute tomorrow. Our severe weather threat, again, is our southern counties. Level 1 risk with wind damage being the biggest threat, some steady to heavy rain. And then tomorrow, it covers the whole viewing area. Again, that potential for some wind damage. The low pressure system and cold front continue to slide eastward. It's bumping up our humidity and bringing us, of course, more moisture in the form of rain. It's a 60% chance for tomorrow. Much of it is likely to be later in the day than what we're seeing today. There's a tiny chance on Thursday, Friday, late afternoon or evening, and then on Saturday and even Sunday, we could see some scattered showers and storms. We're going to touch on the weekend coming up. Look at this. It is breezy in downtown Raleigh, and the rain is coming down. It looks pretty miserable there, doesn't it, on Fayetteville Street? That's courtesy of the Jimmy V. That's our Jimmy V camera. 65 degrees. Our temperature really hasn't budged much since early this morning, but this afternoon we may climb on up into the low 70s in Durham and Raleigh and mid 70s in Fayetteville. 72 for our high in Raleigh is definitely a good bit cooler than normal. Our normal high for today is 80 degrees, and so those 70s feeling more like mid-April, the 60s feeling more like March, and that's what we're seeing right now. Again, some showers and storms today and tomorrow. Thursday, if you need to get outside, looks like the best day of the week. Late Friday into Saturday and Sunday, we have a chance of showers and storms, and we'll take a closer look at the weekend, and I'll show you how much rain we could see coming up.
Elizabeth, thanks. No need for a lot of elbow grease when it comes to dusting. Today at 4, the experts at Consumer Reports reveal their top products to get your home spick and span.
And tonight at 6, juvenile crime is up 20%. WRAL Investigates goes inside new juvenile justice facilities to see how the system's approaching punishment and rehabilitation. Plus, still ahead this noon, coming up, you may have to kiss Red Lobster's Cheddar Bay biscuits goodbye. We'll tell you where some of the seafood chain's restaurants are closing near us.
And after getting a lot of criticism over the weekend, the dating app Bumble is removing some of its ads. We'll explain the response the campaign received. Today in Money Matters, Red Lobster is closing dozens of locations, and Apple and Google team up to fight stalking. Those are among today's business headlines with Maribel Aber.
Apple and Google are teaming up to fight stalking with wireless trackers like Apple's AirTags. Updated iPhones and Android phones will now be able to alert users that a wireless tracking device is nearby. The feature will also tell users a Bluetooth tracking device is moving with them. Users can then have the tracking device play a sound to make it easier to locate, and you can also get instructions on disabling device. It's an effort by Apple and Google to fix the downside of the tracking devices, which have been used by criminals to follow people. U.S. airlines are suing the Transportation Department over new rules on disclosing fees on airline tickets. The rules require carriers to disclose extra fees on things like carry-ons or canceled reservations before you make your final purchase. It's part of the Biden administration's crackdown on so-called junk fees. But a group of airlines, including American, Delta, JetBlue, and United, say the Transportation Department exceeded its authority. The airlines trade group said the rule will confuse consumers and called it a, quote, bad solution in search of a problem. Red Lobster is abruptly closing dozens of restaurants around the U.S. Media reports say about 50 locations have just been closed, including 7 around the chain's hometown of Orlando, Florida. Other locations in Indiana, New York, Idaho, and Maryland have all been shut down. Red Lobster has around 650 restaurants, but its sales and profits have been declining, and Bloomberg recently reported the chain was considering filing for bankruptcy. And those are your business headlines. I'm Maribel Aber at the NASDAQ Market Site.
And we checked for you. The Red Lobster restaurants in Cary, Durham, Rocky Mount, and Burlington are all listed as closed on Red Lobster's website. They are among more than 80 locations in 27 states listed as temporarily closed.
OpenAI announced a new model of its artificial intelligence model, ChatGPT. You'll now be able to have real-time, clever conversations with ChatGPT. It's now capable of witty banter in any language and translate it in real time. The new version can view your photos, screenshots, and documents and talk to you about them, and it's all free.
After the dating app Bumble faced a lot of social media criticism over its ads this past weekend, the company says it will remove them. The ads suggested users stop being celibate. It tells Forbes the ads were in response to frustrations about dating, but will now take them out of its marketing campaign. Some critics argue that messaging contradicts Bumble's origin as a dating app that was supposed to put women in control.
A new report shows home prices are surging faster than in previous years. Housing analytics company Resi Club says home prices have jumped 47% since 2020. The recent surge beats the 30% increase in the 90s and 44% increase in the 2010s. Higher mortgage rates and fewer available homes could be contributing to the surge. Economists say rates likely won't go down until the Fed makes rate cuts.
Coming up, if your teen is about to start driving, it may take them months for them to get enrolled in driver's ed. What Wake school leaders are doing today to change that.
Also, Wake County Sheriff's Office just got a big check, how they are using nearly $1 million in that money.
And here's a look at your winning North Carolina Education Lottery numbers.
Shot in 4K ultra high definition. Your number one source for local news. WRAL News. Coverage you can count on.
Right now, your teenage driver may have to wait months to take driver's ed in Wake County.
Later today, school leaders are talking about how to change that. WRAL's Kelsey Coffey spoke to one teenager at the DMV office whose parents worked around the backlog so he could take his test.
So many of us know what it's like to anxiously await getting your driver's license. But due to backlogs in Wake County for driver's ed, some high schoolers are going to be forced to wait. Right now, driver's ed enrollment can take up to 5 months in Wake County, but it should only take 8 to 12 weeks. Today, school leaders will talk about ways to reduce this backlog. This isn't the first time the school system has faced this issue. They were forced to make changes in 2022 when there was a backlog due to COVID. Now the school system is looking to expand a contract with the driving school to fix the problem. Lincoln Faust waited in line for his driver's license today. His mom said she paid more than $400 for private driving school to avoid wait times through the school system.
I know a lot of people who aren't going to be able to drive when they graduate just because either they're waiting. For some people, it's just easier to wait till they're 18 so they don't even have to do the driver's ed course because it takes such a long time to be able to get in.
Today, school leaders will only have a discussion. We're not expecting a vote just yet, but we'll be sure to keep you posted. Kelsey Coffey, WRAL News in Raleigh.
A little more than an hour ago, the Wake County Sheriff's Office celebrated the nearly $1 million it's getting for new technology. This includes body cameras and radar equipment. WRAL's Chris Lovingood watched the news conference for this event. Chris.
Well, Congressman Wiley Nickel joined Wake County leaders, including Sheriff Willie Rowe, this morning for this announcement, Renee. That money will pay for body-worn cameras for detention officers who work in the county jail. They could like the ones you're seeing right there on your screen. The money is also slated to purchase cameras for inside patrol cars and radar equipment for the Special Operations Division. A captain with the sheriff's detention team says that he believes these cameras will benefit both the officers and the inmates, too.
These cameras will allow for different angles, accountability, and unbiased record of interactions. They will also serve as a deterrent to misconduct.
Congressman Nickel also announced that he is working to secure more money for the sheriff's office. That includes $1.7 million for more technology to help law enforcement do their jobs and protect citizens.
Body cams are key. Chris, thank you.
Our county-by-county coverage takes us to Cumberland, Nash, and Johnston counties. Families with children in Cumberland County School District, now is your time to make your voice heard. The school system launched a family and community engagement survey. You can use the QR code on your screen to access that form. It closes on Friday. Rocky Mount and Nashville police departments are raising money for Special Olympics. This morning, they were at the Dunkin' Donuts on Stone Rose Drive in Rocky Mount for Cover the Cruiser. You can purchase donation certificates and place them on the police cruiser for just $1. Friday, you have another opportunity to donate from 7 a.m. until noon at the Dunkin' in Nashville. Johnston County's 911 Center Director was named North Carolina's Communications Center Leader of the Year. Brett Renfro was given the National Emergency Number Association's highest honor at its annual conference in Wilmington. Renfro is a Johnston County native. He credited his team at the Communications Center with being the reason he received that award.
You may remember this hazy view of the Raleigh skyline from last summer. Smoke from Canadian wildfires drifted down to our area, prompted a code red air quality alert. Now thousands of people are being evacuated in Western Canada as wildfires intensify. Connor Hansen report as smoke drifts into the U.S. for a second year in a row.
Wildfires in British Columbia continue to grow stronger as officials warn the situation could get worse before it gets better.
The next 48 hours will be a challenging situation for the Northern Rockies Regional Municipality, given forecasted ongoing westerly winds and extremely dry and volatile fuels in the area.
In one town, thousands have been evacuated as fire crews prepare to make a last stand to protect it.
I know that this is an extremely difficult time, and I want you to know that supports are available if you need them, including accommodation, food, and incidentals.
The fires are creating surreal sights. This photo captures the glow of the flames under the northern lights in British Columbia. Smoke from the fires is once again drifting into the U.S. A dark haze shrouded Minneapolis. Most of Minnesota is under an air quality alert. The smoke was also seen in Montana and Wisconsin. Almost a year ago, Canadian wildfire smoke drifted to major cities like New York, creating a distinct orange haze. And as California prepares for wildfire season, some homeowners say they're losing their fire insurance.
They said we lived in a high fire area and they were not renewing it. I mean, it's just a disaster.
That was Connor Hansen reporting. One of the main factors causing quick spreading wildfires is drought conditions, which have continued to worsen in Canada since last year.
Well, it's not just good for weight loss. What a 4-year study shows about Wegovy's benefits besides just melting off the pounds.
And ever notice whenever there's a huge storm, there's also a surge in births? What doctors have to say about this cause and effect. There's an old superstition stating that stormy weather brings on an increase in births. One OBGYN confirms there's some truth to that belief.
While many of the superstitions we have associated with labor and delivery and birth don't actually pan out in the evidence, there is actually evidence to support that the drops in barometric pressure with bigger storms do bring on births.
Dr. Chandria Johnson says the rise and fall of the barometric pressure can cause the expansion and contraction of the uterus. So sometimes near-term pregnancies will naturally induce labor. Johnson works at a hospital in Missouri that has seen a lot of stormy weather recently, keeping staff very busy.
Clinical trial results from Wegovy show the popular drug has benefits beyond weight loss. More than 17,000 patients were studied over 4 years. Researchers found Wegovy can benefit the heart better than any other medicine. The study also reinforces the drug accelerates weight loss and can cause gastrointestinal side effects. A police officer in Chicago is recovering after receiving a double lung transplant. 56-year-old Art Gillespie worked in law enforcement for nearly 3 decades. Then he suffered a severe case of COVID in 2020 and a lung cancer diagnosis just about the same time. He went through chemotherapy and had 2/3 of his right lung removed. Doctors said they couldn't do anything else for him, so he turned to specialists. 4 years later, Gillespie received his new lungs at Northwestern Memorial Hospital.
Many people suffer from hearing loss, but what you may not know is the negative health effect from not treating that loss. How it can be bad for your health. Next.
And some crazy video out of Texas showing lightning striking and then a power surge. We'll show you that and how a different lightning strike closed down an airport runway for hours. A lot of people live with hearing loss, but what you may not know is if it's left untreated, your health could be dramatically altered. Chris DeMeo takes a closer look at the impacts of untreated hearing loss.
Have you heard the news? With May marking National Speech Language Hearing Month, medical experts are sounding the alarm, warning how untreated hearing loss can lead to severe health and safety risks and how millions could be affected.
Oftentimes, hearing loss happens gradually, but some common signs of hearing loss might include difficulty hearing in the presence of background noise, speech sounding muffled or mumbled, increased television volume, or even ringing in the ears.
In the U.S. alone, nearly 29 million adults could benefit from using hearing aids, according to the National Institute on Deafness and Other Communication Disorders.
Family members might suspect hearing loss in an older loved one. They might notice that their loved one is asking for a repetition. Maybe they're misunderstanding speech information.
Kayla Kirk, audiologist at The Ohio State University, says it's critical people are proactive about hearing loss.
Delayed treatment of hearing loss might lead to things like social isolation or even impact quality of life.
According to data from the CDC, that isolation can increase people's risk for heart disease, stroke, depression, and an earlier death. Kirk says anyone with concerns should undergo a professional hearing evaluation.
Treatment options for hearing loss might include things like medication, surgery, a hearing aid, or an implantable device like a cochlear implant.
Meanwhile, the CDC also reports more than 5 million kids and teens ages 6 to 19 and roughly 26 million adults 20 to 69 have permanent hearing damage due to exposure to excessive noise.
That's Chris DeMeo reporting, and health experts also advise wearing earbuds or headphones if you'll be in a loud place for a long time.
As a deadly storm system pushes through the Gulf Coast, farmers are worried that the intense storms could affect the nation's food supply. Today's storm system is set to bring heavy downpours and flooding to parts of the U.S. Even some places that are dry now have lingering weather problems. Some farmers say their crops are suffering and the damage could affect food availability. Fruit has been damaged by flooding. Wheat has been flattened by strong winds. Meanwhile, other farmers say they are now behind on their production schedule.
All right, take a look at your screen here. There's a lightning strike right there, and then there's a spark of light to the left, and the smoke billows up from it. That's a power surge there. It happened in Houston, Texas. The tower camera at our NBC affiliate caught that on video there. The storm was part of a bigger portion of severe weather, brought hail and damaging winds to the Houston area yesterday.
And lightning damaged a runway at Hobby Airport in Houston after it was hit by lightning. You can see officials there repairing the runway. A ground stop was issued while they closed the runway. It prompted several cancellations and delays, but it is back open now. Mother Nature's fireworks creating quite a show there.
So that was pretty impressive right there. No electricity in our air today. That's a good thing.
Yeah, but we might see some later this afternoon. Meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner, though, first with a look at how often we see lightning around here.
Yeah, those pictures were really dramatic, and we've been watching all of that activity along the Gulf Coast for the last several days, and we may see a little piece of it over the next few days. So you may wonder, well, how many lightning strikes do we see in North Carolina in a year? It's 3.8 million. I mean, that is a huge number. And we know that, some people get struck by lightning. It tends to be about an average of 100 per year across the country. Of course, if we do begin to see some lightning later today, which is possible and more likely tomorrow, it's easy to stay safe. Just go inside. And anytime that you can hear thunder, you're in danger of being struck by lightning. So just especially tomorrow, keep that in mind as these storms start to develop. So here's where the system is now. We're tracking this cold front. We've had a lot of activity along the Gulf Coast, a lot of that lifting up across our area. So we're seeing periods of rain today. By tomorrow, we see this cold front coming through, and that's going to bring us some afternoon and evening thunderstorms. Here's what's happening right now. Dual Doppler 5000 radar showing steadier rain from Raleigh northward. This was down south earlier. We're looking at a few more breaks in the precipitation, say from Sanford back down toward Moore County and Hoke County, Cumberland County. But this is not the end of it. We'll continue to see some scattered rain through the afternoon. It's a little heavier from Chapel Hill to Durham, a little bit lighter around Holly Springs and Fuquay Arena right now. Some showers in Zebulon. It is.
As we wrap things up, here's a look at a few of the headlines we're following today. A trooper was hurt while trying to stop a driver leading a high-speed chase. Highway Patrol confirms the trooper trying to use a device to take air out of the car's tires when they got hurt. The chase ended when the car crashed into 3 other cars on NC-24 in Cumberland County. Authorities are still looking for the driver.
8 people are dead. 45 others are in the hospital after a bus crash in Florida. Florida Highway Patrol says that bus was carrying 53 farmers when it crashed into a Ford Ranger truck you see right there. That bus then went off the road, crashed into a fence, and flipped over. Troopers say 8 of the 45 people hospitalized are in critical condition.
The polls are open for the runoff elections in several races across the state. Today's primary runoff features the statewide Republican races for state auditor and lieutenant governor. That's because both positions had plenty of candidates in the March GOP primary, and no one got above 30% of the vote, the requirement to win outright the primary.
We have 2 North Carolina natives hoping to stay in the competition for next week's season finale of The Voice. That was Josh Sanders of Kannapolis performing in last night's live semifinals. Tay Lewis of Goldsboro also took the stage singing Amazed by Lone Star. Viewers voted to decide the 5 singers who will move on to next week's season finale. Those results will be announced tonight. You can watch The Voice right here on WRAL tonight at 8. Snoop Dogg and Michael Bublé will join the panel on The Voice next season. They'll be alongside Reba McEntire and Gwen Stefani. John Legend, Chance the Rapper, and Dan and Shay will all be leaving after this season.
The acoustic guitar Eric Clapton used to compose his song Wonderful Tonight could be yours if the price is right. The 1974 Martin acoustic will be up at an auction house in London next month. The guitar has burns on the headstock left by cigarettes Clapton stuck under the strings. And there's a sticker on the side that reads, "She's in love with the rodeo man." The guitar's estimated worth is up to $500,000.
This has never been done before. Take a look. 2 skydivers flew right through London's famous Tower Bridge this weekend. Whoa, look out. It took them about 45 seconds to do this whole thing, but getting to that point was nearly 2 years in the making. The skydiving duo trained for that dive for a year, which included flying between 2 cranes to match the exact dimensions of the Tower Bridge. They practiced the jump about 200 times to figure out the height to drop from, and they also had boats on standby nearby for the landing in the cold Thames River.
Looks amazing. You have a chance to brighten someone's day. That's because tomorrow is National Bring Flowers to Someone Day. So start planning now. You can send flowers to a family member, friend, crush, or even to yourself. Pick them from your own garden or buy them from a local flower shop or online.
That's a neat concept right there. Today's pet of the day is a bit of a homebody. This is Elmer, a 3-year-old Basset Beagle mix, about 30 pounds, loves the indoor life, needs a fenced yard though, walks well on a leash, likes to meet other dogs. He would love another pup to play with in the house. You can contact Love Mutts Rescue for more information on meeting Elmer.
NBC News Daily is next on WRAL, your next local news update in 30 minutes.
Have a great day.
Keep watching WRAL News over the air Channel 34 and Spectrum Channel 1257.